Officer John O'Keefe, who was off duty, was found dead on Fairview Road yesterday morning.
She was stabbed at least 11 times in her head, her neck, and her throat.
Who does live here? Is your place?
Yeah. Noah had passed away, and nothing makes sense to it.
We actually don't have, like, crosswalks.
Kitchen's a bloody mess. She's not breathing.
Why is the kitchen a bloody mess?
I don't know.
The 4chan post is a little hard to read if you don't speak doofus, so I'm going to break it down for you.
The 4-day party turned into something awful.
There's been a major break in the Amber Spradlin murder cover-up.
The student president of the fraternity told us that they got word from National to instruct all of their members to delete all their social media.
His girlfriend is now charged.
Maybe this is his tooth. Right here. His pants were folded up.
And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
I just thought that there was a lot of acting happening.
This was my client's boyfriend, somebody with whom she was in love.
Stabbed him lightly in the back just to get him off of me.
That she had to remember the bad times.
And his body was here.
You've never been in a fight?
No.
Is that what's happening? Are you crying right now?
Do you know what tears look like?
Karen Reed was a whack job cunt, right?
Yes.
Something happened at the party that he was attending the night before.
If you have anything that you want to tell us,
cry on demand.
People know and they need to speak up.
Falling from a moving vehicle as a pedestrian, maybe being pushed out. It could also arise from an attack.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass.
Laying on his side.
Stabbed her.
Just had his eyes closed, you know.
I saw her lifeless body.
2:42 a.m. and 2:44 a.m.
That's a cop killer right there.
John's dead.
Tough, his hair was scraped off his head.
And she said, Google hypothermia, Google how long it takes to die in the cold.
It's easy to pass a polygraph.
I hit him. Oh my God, I hit him.
Said, if you want to talk about it, I'll talk about it.
Constant phone calls.
Seriously, what do you want with me?
Did you ever say I hit him?
I did not.
I said I hit him
It was several times.
because he's dead.
Somebody had to have known something. Somebody had to have told a friend that they know.
Karen, we saw you outside of my sister's.
It's been the hardest time of my life.
We couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us.
Just like a lot of harassment.
I know it has to be eating them up inside.
Hey guys. I don't know. I have technical difficulties today. I couldn't hear that video at all. And I have another one to play, and I just can't tell if it's playing. But, Casey...
Strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call?
Jen!
If there's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call?
You're pervert!
If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call?
John's dead. Carrie.
If there's something strange in your neighborhood, who you gonna call?
Yes, it's called the Franken truck.
Who you gonna call?
I do not have any specific Celebrate certifications. They offer many of them. However, I have participated.
Who you gonna call?
And I'm very reasonable, very sure to what's the word I want? Medical certainty. Very
All right, so
high degree of medical certainty.
Reasonable degree of medical certainty.
Yes, definitely.
I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that didn't care for John. And there's many of them involved. I'm the patron saint of Canton. Many of them involved. He was just very selfless, frugal, and he told me, yeah, I have the kids now. I admired that.
I went from being solo to trying to give attention to kids who aren't mine. And I never wanted kids.
Karen was just a babysitter with benefits.
Very much taken advantage of.
It is very complicated. He and I dated when we were kids, and then his sister died, and everything got fucked up.
John, I'm here with your
kids, and nobody knows what the you want, you pervert.
And it smells like there's been a dead body in a damn car. Daughter admitted that the baby is where? Can't find my granddaughter. She just admitted to me that she's been trying to find her herself.
She was searching for foolproof suffocation methods in shot girl outfits. Looks like she got an outfit.
I lost Casey and my granddaughter that day.
Another search for neck breaking. At the same time, Casey Anthony was logging into her MySpace.
Someone just said that Kaylee was dead this morning, that she drowned in the pool. That's the newest story out there. Surprise, surprise.
So she tossed her baby's body in the woods and then partied for a month.
You believe your daughter knows what happened?
Yes, I believe 100%.
Mom, I don't have anything. I'm sorry. I've been here a month. I've been here a month today. Do you understand how I feel?
And you keep defending her.
I'm not defending her.
Her.
Casey wants you to know how Kaylee died.
Casey Anthony has been getting money from supporters ever since the day she was arrested. That's why she did the documentary, to re-up.
She lies about everything.
Why is the daughter the two of you raised making the cruelest accusation?
She just believes Casey more than she does me.
I still don't know the truth.
The allegations were very, very strong. How many times I will hear, well, she drowned in the pool, she drowned in the pool. People want to say that, you want to say it, that's fine. I know what my feelings are. I know what I saw in evidence. I saw it.
Casey may have drugged Kaylee.
Casey harmed Kaylee.
So what the hell did she put us through all this?
Me growing up.
What was the nightmare last night?
My father was holding me down and me. And I can't tell mommy what happened.
She never called me mommy.
I want to have a polygraph because it's going to prove one thing. I never did anything to harm my daughter or my granddaughter.
Did you ever touch Casey for sexual gratification?
Anything happens with Haley Casey, I'll die. You understand? I'll die. If anything happens to that baby.
Oh my God. Calling you guys? A waste. Huge waste.
She grabbed my hands and she said, Google hypothermia, Google how long it takes to die in the cold.
She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours.
She would have periods of calmness, and then other periods she would appear agitated.
Go from crying in her hands to all of a sudden perking up.
She had said that they had gotten into an argument.
Screaming my name over and over.
She said anybody who knows Carrie Roberts wouldn't say those things. It seems strange to say something like that after you were just crying because your husband was dead.
If anything did you say about Miss Roberts?
Objection.
Sustained.
I thought could have happened was that did I incapacitate him unwittingly, somehow, and then in his drunkenness, passed out?
People are harassing him saying he was at the house when it's not true.
You've never been in a fight?
No.
You're aware of you beating up at Ryan and Colin Albert.
Did you say you would beat them up, or did you say, I will fuck you up?
I said I will F you up.
No, you didn't say, I will F you up. What did you actually say?
What specifically type of harassment?
They calling us murderers, harassing us.
Likely brought down to the basement.
Constant phone calls.
Seriously, what do you want with me?
I mean, we couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us, and it's very terrible.
They're cop killers, ladies and gentlemen. That's a cop killer right there. You're stupid cunt daughters, that's what they fucking are. Hanging out with this fucking worthless piece of shit, Colin fucking Albert.
Awful messages.
Showing up to our doorsteps, our sports games.
Hey Jen, how you doing? Fancy seeing you here.
Sorry, do you have a child on the team?
Do you?
I do, so I'm trying to watch.
No, I'm at a public event, so I can do whatever I want.
People showing up at our house.
You guys are being taken for a fool.
That's terrible. We're being taken for a fool. Tell us how.
People emailing my school. Just like a lot of harassment.
There was absolutely no canine DNA.
Karen Reed was there.
She said, I don't think I'm ever going to see you guys again. She just yelled back in the phone, John's dead.
He's dead. Is he dead? Is he dead? But what really stood out to me was, The eyes.
She told me that she had to remember the bad times, which struck me as an odd comment to say.
I thought that was amazing. That body wasn't hit by my car.
It's highly credentialed. That's all you have to listen to. Case over. Free Karen Reed. Free Karen Reed.
Wackos. I mean, come on now. Free Karen Reed. I mean, I'm all for, people getting the justice they deserve. And, I came into this case thinking that potentially it was a cover-up, and that's why I was interested originally. And, that's not what it turned out to be. And that's where people need to look in themselves and say, am I looking for a certain outcome, or am I actually seeking the truth? And that's where the division lies. There are people that want to stick with the outcome that they originally, believe to be true, and people that are seeking the truth. And that's it. And if you look at Casey Anthony, I think it's some foreshadowing into what the Karen Reed case really is going on behind the scenes, because, Karen's getting a little cozy with Alan Jackson. I don't think Alan Jackson is coming back. He has like a 96%, like on his website, he's a 96% success rate. He's not going to want to mess that up. He's not coming back. He does not want, because chances are she's going to lose the retrial, right? So he doesn't want to, he's not going to want to come back. I'm sure they're fighting about money right now. And it's going to be what it's going to be. The Commonwealth has a lot of stuff that they can clean up. So the main things are the Sally Port video. I honestly, honest to God, believe that they just did not realize that it was backwards and whatever. Because why would they show the side of the car that's not broken and pretend that's the broken side? Like, they just didn't realize. They were just rushing stuff through, getting stuff done. And that's how it is on the state side in general. They are not paid like they are on the defense side. On the defense side, in general, you get paid a lot of money. You have a lot more time. You have a lot more people. And that's just how it is. You're working with all these different state agencies, trying to get footage, trying to get this and that. And you're throwing shit together at the last minute because you're not paid a lot on the state side. You're not paid like you are on the defense side. And so that's just how it is. And, people just need to realize that, the next time that's going to just be out in the open, that's going to be like, this is what it is. This is not a conspiracy. This is just, this is the way the video is recorded. It's backwards, or they're going to flip it around. Either way, it's not going to have the same effect that it did this time. Proctor, I mean, to be blatantly honest, I don't even want to say I don't condone what he said, because those are private messages. I think that anyone has the right to talk shit about people that they want to talk shit about in their private lives, to their wife and to their friends. I think that that's just a given in any profession. I was going into law enforcement at one point, and the reason that I kind of held back, and I was like interviewing for FBI, the reason I held back was I was like, well, I'm going to just move to wherever they're going to station me, and I'm not going to be able to actually tell anyone what I'm doing or be able to talk to anybody. And that was the major deterrent for me. I don't want to just like go wherever they're going to send me, and I can't really tell anybody anything. Like, that's messed up. I think that everyone should have the right to have their personal conversations, whatever they may be. It does not mean that that's your permanent decision. If I'm like, my boss is a fucking asshole today, I should be able to say that in my personal life, and it's not going to be held against me in the future, because that was an emotional response. You're supposed to vent to people that you care about, like your friends and your family. I think, especially in a high stress job like that, I think that's just, I don't know. I just think it's such bullshit. You're not going to have anyone that's going to want to do those jobs if you're going to be able to like just get everyone's text messages and personal conversations. And that's just how I feel. I don't think that, and I am not a cop supporter in general. Like, I'm really not. Like, I generally challenge cops. I generally challenge what people do, but I don't think that people should be held to some other standard either. Cops, teachers, like, they are held to a different standard, and I don't think it's right. I think they're human like everybody else, and they should have the right to have their personal conversations. And I just think it's bullshit. It doesn't have any bearing on what he did as an investigator. It's his personal conversations. The one thing that he said on his work phone was like, "Oh, I'm looking for nudes," which is clearly a joke. You know, some people, I just think that people are just so ridiculous. I mean, come on. Right. AJ and United's private text. I mean, and this is what I'm talking about with the Casey Anthony thing. So Dominic Casey was, I think he was a private investigator. He was a detective that worked to try to find exculpatory information for Casey Anthony. And this is the stuff that is going to come out of Karen Reed's trial downstream. This is 2016. So this is, Casey Anthony was tried in, I think, 2008, 2009. So her entire life is going to be filled with litigation. And that's what we're going to see. Like, people aren't telling the truth if people are flipping on them. And it's already happened in this case. We've seen Natalie, I think Natalie the German, they call her. And she was the one that was originally talking to Karen and linking her to Turtle Boy. She flipped. And then Lindsay, which was Turtle Boy's girlfriend at the time, she flipped. People do not flip if you're telling the truth. If you're telling the truth, you don't have to worry about that kind of shit. And so that's where I'm at. I just want the truth. That's all I want. That's all I'm after. And I've had both sides reaching out to me. I had a lot of pressure in the beginning from her side to, see it a certain way. And I was not okay with that. I never had pressure from the other side, but I had support from the other side once I started speaking the truth. Because in the beginning, I was like, I think it's a conspiracy. I think it's a cover up. Once I started speaking the truth, though, people that know John O'Keefe reached out to me and were like, "Thank you for speaking the truth. Nobody's speaking the truth. Like, this is bullshit." And I was inspired by that. It's not that I am tied to that either. If there's truth that comes out in the opposite way, I'm going to say it too. So I just think, there's a lack of people speaking the truth. And that's the problem. There are people that are so stuck on the Karen Reed side. They want to believe, I don't know why, they want to believe that she's innocent. They want to believe that all these people just conspired and covered this thing up, and it's insane. It's insane. So Casey Anthony, and I didn't even know this before, so I thought about it today. There's like so many correlations between Karen Reed and Casey Anthony, just between her defense and just a lot of the stuff that they did. So this guy is a private investigator, detective. So he was employed in 2008. I was a detective hired to work with the defense team for the murder trial wherein Casey Anthony was accused of killing her daughter, Kaylee Marie Anthony. During the publicity involved in the missing child case, Casey Anthony became aware of telephone calls made to police by Roy Kronk in August 2008, indicating he may have located the remains of Casey Anthony. So Roy Kronk ended up finding the remains. This whole thing is weird. But what Casey Anthony said to this guy, the detective, was, "Kaylee is not coming home and they need to get used to that." And I'm like, what is wrong with this girl? And so he says, Casey Anthony asked me in September 2008 if the guy found anything. The guy found anything. In October 2008, just prior to the remains being found, Casey Anthony told me that when Kaylee came up missing, the back gate was left ajar. Since Roy Kronk was a meter reader for the house, maybe we could say Roy Kronk kidnapped Kaylee. I told her then I would not do that because we know that he had nothing to do with Kaylee's disappearance, but she was insistent that he, Roy Kronk, be implicated or blamed in some way. Keep in mind, this is like way after her trial. This is 8 years later. This is the fallout from lies. And this is happening, and this is what's going to happen in the Karen Read case. Like, there's going to be lawsuits up the ass for years and years and years and years. The rest of these people's lives are going to be going to court, fighting bullshit, fighting rumors. So he says, I told her I would not do that because we both know he had nothing to do with Kaylee's disappearance. On December 11th, it was confirmed that Ray Kronk had discovered Kaylee's remains. During a meeting at the hotel that evening, Jose Baez came to meet with George and Cindy Anthony. She asked him what was found. Baez said, let's go to the room to talk. Roy Kronk is very suspicious. And so, it's just so gross. I've never met with, spoken with, corresponded with, or in any manner communicated with Roy Kronk at any time, up to and including the date of the signing of this affidavit. Based on my personal knowledge of the events and statements I personally heard from Casey Anthony, she authorized and permitted her attorneys, including Jose Baez, to make false statements about Roy Kronk to portray him as a murderer and or kidnapper of Kaylee Anthony. So this is another affidavit from their private investigator. My name is Dominic Casey. I am over 18. I am competent to testify, blah, blah, blah. He was a detective hired by the Baez law firm. So number 3, within 2 weeks of Casey Anthony's July 16, 2008 arrest, Jose Baez retained my agency, DNA Investigations Incorporated. Saturday, July 26, 2008, Baez had told me that Casey had murdered Kaylee. He had told me that Casey had murdered Kaylee and dumped the body somewhere. Unbelievable. He needed all the help he could get to find the body before anyone else did. Shortly after being retained for the defense, I met Casey Anthony at the jail. There was no doubt that she had psychological issues. What they were had yet to be professionally diagnosed. Jose Baez refused to have her evaluated by a psychological professional. Casey had entered into a retainer agreement with the Baez law firm. Although Casey had been declared indigent and the state of Florida would pay for her defense, this retainer agreement required her to pay legal fees to the Baez law firm. She had no money and willingly entered into a second agreement with Jose Baez individually. This is where it gets real sketchy. In exchange for legal fees and under the terms of the second agreement, she signed over both her and Kaylee's intellectual property rights, life rights. These life rights were exclusively licensed to Jose Baez individually. This second agreement also required Casey to provide Baez with an extensive library of photographs, videos, and other items that he could sell. In August of 2008, I met with Baez at the office to inform him of statements Casey had made during jail video visitations with her father, mother, and brother, George, Cindy, and Lee. She had made statements suggesting Kaylee's location. Look in familiar places. Check places we are familiar with. In my gut, she's still okay. And it still feels like she's close to home. I know in my heart she's not far. I can feel it. Ugh. On hearing Casey's statements, I pulled up an aerial view of the Anthony neighborhood looking for an area she could have used to dispose of Kaylee's body. At the meeting, Baez suggested to me that if I could gain access to the swamp on Suburban Drive without being seen to do so, it could be the place Casey had dumped Kaylee's body. Access could not be gained at the time because of active searches being conducted by law enforcement, searchers, and the media presence in the area. August 2008, I presented evidence to Baez suggesting there could have been an accident and Kaylee drowned in the backyard pool. The accident snowballed out of control. Casey panicked and dumped Kaylee's body. Casey did not call for help because she was afraid to say anything. She then went on the run. She may allege that her father and brother had been molesting her since she was 8 years old, and because of this, Casey was used to hiding her pain. 31 days later, Casey's mother, Cindy, located her. Casey had been hiding out in a new boyfriend's apartment. Her family and longtime friends did not know the new boyfriend and did not know where he lived. Ay, ay, ay. I mean, I believed that pool story for a while, and this just like makes my heart sink because I had reasonable doubt because of the pool story. I was like, maybe she did drown in the pool, and Casey was just freaked out and didn't know what to do. And this just freaks me out because I'm like, oh my god, boy, was I wrong. August 11, 2008, a meter reader, Roy Kronk, walked into the utility easement from Suburban Drive. He saw a little round object in the swamp, which he believed to be a child's skull. At 4:28 p.m., he called 911 to report what he believed to have seen. One of Casey's friends lived on the same street as Casey. She had also called the sheriff's department and informed them that Casey, Jessica, and she had used Suburban Drive as a teenage hangout because this was a familiar place. Kaya Marie said that Casey may have buried Kaylee there. That night, news reported that Kaya Marie and Deputy Sheriff drove around the neighborhood and along Suburban Drive. August 12th, the state attorney offered limited immunity for Casey in exchange for information regarding Kaylee. Casey wanted to accept the plea deal. Baez told her to wait until he returned from New York and he would be able to bond her out of jail. August 14th. Baez was in New York. Casey wrote a letter to the sheriff asking if he could set up a meeting with her father. She wanted her father to work out a plea deal with Baez while he was in New York about an accidental drowning. One of Baez's associates arrived at the jail when detectives had arrived to talk to Casey. The associate prevented any contact with Casey. August 20th. Tony Padilla posted Casey's $500,000 bail bond. She was fitted with an electronic monitoring device and released the next day. Per the terms of her second agreement with Jose Baez, Casey then took the extensive library of photographs, videos, and other items to Baez for him to sell. Sick. It is sick. I provided investigative services and daily personal protection for her through October 14th and drove her to the home confinement office. August 29th, Casey was rearrested at the residence. She was later charged with uttering a forged instrument fraud, use of personal identity, and petite theft in connection with the check she had stolen from Amy Huizenga. Tony Padilla revoked her bail bond. September 3rd. Never Lose Hope Foundation for George, Cindy, and Lee to meet with an attorney for the purpose of the attorney becoming their spokesperson. Unknown to them at the time, and on the way to meet the attorney, they were taken to meet Pedro Benavides, a convicted drug trafficker and money launderer for El Chapo, the Mexican drug lord and head of the Sinaloa cartel. Like, is this real life? Oh my God. In addition to the $200,000 reward money, Benavides was now going to put up money for Casey's defense and the $500,000 necessary for Casey's second bail bond. September 5th. I drove Baez, his associate, and a bail bondsman to pick up Casey from jail. Baez had scheduled a television interview for her that night. She did not want to interview and asked Baez to call and cancel. He called the network saying they would have to take a rain check, hung up the phone, and said to Casey, "You now owe me 3 blowjobs." Interesting. I wonder if Jackson takes that payment. I mean, he might. September 12th, Casey asked if Baez knew about a meeting I had with Lee at my office. I told her no. Baez had been unavailable. She had concerns about the guy on Suburban Drive and whether he had found anything. Casey did not want me to discuss anything with Baez because she was getting a new attorney and going to plea. She asked me to continue representing her and asked me to bring a contract. September 13th, Casey signed a letter of engagement with my agency. September 15th, Laura Buchanan was one of Baez's bloggers. Bloggers, they have bloggers. It's like a whole organization when you're a defense attorney. Emailed George and Cindy's new attorney, Mark Najimy, claiming she had heard disturbing things like George was molesting Casey when she was younger and starting to molest Kaylee, that Kaylee could possibly belong to George and or Lee. Belong to. Within 2 weeks, the misconduct between Casey and Jose Baez had escalated. I arrived at Baez's office unexpectedly one day and once again witnessed a naked Casey. This time she ran from his private office, through the conference room to the hallway. That night, I told her that she cannot allow him to continue engaging in this behavior. Casey told me she had to do what Jose said because she had no money for her defense. I reminded her that Baez had more than enough money from the network he sold the photographs to pay for her defense. Casey apologized and assured me it would not happen again. September 25th, I provided written notice to terminate services to Baez law firm. October 1st, pursuant to my notice, effective immediately, blah, blah, blah. He was still going to provide services till October 14th. He was providing investigative services to George and Cindy Anthony through June 6, 2009. My investigation into members of the defense team and Casey Anthony continued through Casey's trial in 2011 and remains ongoing at the time and date of this affidavit. This affidavit was 2016. Prior to the grand jury indictment on October 14, 2008, Casey thanked me for providing what Jose needed. She explained about not being aware of the details other than George would be implicated. After all, he was the only one in the family that would be testifying against her at the grand jury hearing. Sound familiar? Casey talks about June 15, 2008, Father's Day, when Cindy Anthony had taken Kaylee to Mount Dora. When they returned, Cindy and Kaylee went swimming in the backyard above ground pool. Casey had arrived home while they were swimming. Cindy asked Casey to get Kaylee's bath ready. Casey got a towel and took Kaylee inside for her bath. Cindy had removed Kaylee's life jacket, bathing suit, removed the ladder from the pool platform, and moved it away from the pool. Cindy then went into the bathroom. Casey and Kaylee were having a bath together. Casey suggested that we could say Cindy left the ladder up against the pool. On June 16th, Casey had also left the back gate ajar. Since Roy Crunk was a meter reader for the house, maybe we could say he kidnapped Kaylee. This girl is sick, and I mean, this is exactly what we're dealing with in the Karen Reed case. I mean, come on. I told her vehemently then I would not do that because we knew that Cindy and Roy Kronk had nothing to do with Kaylee's disappearance. She was insistent that George, Cindy, Lee, Anthony, and the meter reader be implicated and blamed for the murder of Kaylee. October 14th, Casey was indicted on first-degree murder charges and placed on a no-bond status at the Orange County Jail in Orlando. December 11th, Kaylee's remains were discovered inside the swamp on Suburban Drive. The following week, Baez began talking to the media about a surreptitious video taken of me, the private investigator, at Suburban Drive in November 2008. Baez actively pursued a public and media campaign to implicate me, the investigator, in the disposal of Kaylee's body. He told the media I wasn't buying Dominic's stories about being sent there by a psychic or the fact that he was investigating that was a teenage hangout of Casey's. It was beyond suspicious. This is key. What was beyond suspicious? Baez had already told me on Saturday, July 26, 2008, that Casey had murdered Kaylee and dumped the body somewhere. He had also just suggested to me that I could gain access to the swamp on Suburban Drive without being seen. To do so because it could be the place Casey had dumped Kaylee's body. Monday, March 28th, 2011, 2:14 p.m., the state attorney deposed me at their office in Orlando, Florida. During my deposition, Jose Baez stated that the defense is going to make strategic decision to waive any and all privilege as it pertains to Mr. Dominic Casey. Speak freely. So they basically implicated this. They told this private investigator where to look for the goddamn body and then pretended that they didn't and then said, we saw a video of you where the body was found. Like, this is so messed up. And I mean, these are the kind of people we're dealing with. It's really unbelievable. I didn't know all this until today. And I'm just like, wow. So we met in a room at the courthouse, which had been provided to the defense for the trial. Casey's attorneys had a list of video markers relevant to the secretly recorded video taken by James Hoover, George and Cindy's volunteer security person, and Leonard Padilla, associate of me on Suburban Drive in 2008. So they basically sent him there to look for the body and then took a video of him. Like, that's freaking unfreaking believable. The questions were designed to promote responses that would implicate me in the dumping of Kaylee's body in the swamp and connected me to Roy Kronk. I made it clear to the defense attorney that the video was secretly recorded, it had been tampered with, cut and pasted, and she needed to talk to Baez about it. The attorney had absolutely no idea of Casey and Baez's planned fraud. When I was called to the stand for my testimony, the secretly recorded video was never produced. Based on my personal knowledge of the events and statements I personally heard from Casey Anthony, authorize and permit her attorneys, including Jose Baez, to make false statements about George, Cindy, Lee, Anthony, Roy Kronk, and portray them as being responsible for the murder of Kaylee Marie Anthony. Casey Anthony and Jose Baez knowingly and purposely made false statements about me and portrayed me as being involved in a conspiracy with George and Cindy Anthony and Roy Kronk to conceal Kaylee Marie Anthony's body. Somewhere in this ludicrous scenario, it was suggested that George gave Kaylee's body to me for disposal. Cindy sent me to Suburban Drive in September 2008. Roy concealed the body until Thursday, December 11, 2008. Then, in anticipation of collecting a reward, he dumped Kaylee's remains into the swamp and radioed his boss. What in the world? I mean, these people are nuts. So, Paul O'Keefe, what I heard through the grapevine is that he was like, we're not done with you. Something to that effect. And every creator is going ham on Paul O'Keefe, and it's bullshit. I mean, they're talking about, I don't know what's true or what's not true, but they're talking about he got into some accident in, I don't even know what year it was, going 24 miles an hour. Like, they keep pointing that out. And I think it was like two vans or something. I don't know. But somehow it's like they're kind of equating that to being the same as her purposely running over John O'Keefe. They're trying to, like, they're coming around to the point where, like, oh, well, she actually did run him over, I think. So now we have to make that normal. We have to normalize being drunk and running people over. And so it's so unbelievable. I agree. And they're talking, so he didn't kill anybody, but then they're talking about Chris Albert had an accident where when he was 22, and I think someone died. Like, I don't know what the details were either, but they're pushing that one out now too. And it's like, okay, well, and I think he served time over it. I'm like, well, he accepted responsibility and did time over it. So, like, they're trying to normalize that you just kill somebody and you should just get away with it. I think that's what they're trying to say at this point. And it's like, okay, so you just harassed all these people knowing that she's guilty? Is that what they're trying to say at this point? It seems like it, and I don't understand at all. Yeah, Casey, there is so much that was not allowed at her trial that I think would have changed the outcome. There still was never, I don't think they proved, similar to Karen Reed, I don't think they were able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that, she wanted to kill the kid. But when I read this and about the investigators and how she was talking about Kaylee, I think that she 100% did intend to kill the kid. She had no qualms about it, and she just didn't want to get caught, and it's so sick to me. But, like, at the trial, I don't think we didn't know that. I don't think we knew that. Casey, so the whole Casey Anthony thing, she did a Netflix show, I think maybe 2 years ago, and a lot of people got sucked into it, and a lot of people were like, oh, she's innocent. Like, Rosie O'Donnell said it, and I'm just like, at the time, I was just like, I don't know, like, maybe. I watched it, and I was like, I understand this side of the story, But then her parents did a show with, I don't know, E or something, and they took a lie detector test, and I believe her parents 1000%. Like, I don't believe Casey Anthony for a second. After that, like, they are so heartbroken. Like, their entire life is like shattered. They're still so upset, and Casey Anthony is not upset. Just like Karen Reed's not upset about her boyfriend. Like, ugh, it's gross. It really is gross. What could have changed the outcome in the Karen Reed case was Lally's closing was a little weak. I wish he had put more effort in it, but it couldn't make a difference with biased jurors. I mean, I think that, you know, maybe there were biased jurors, but at the same time, maybe there were certain pieces that stuck with them. I mean, I think that the Commonwealth, the next time around, they need to have a reconstructionist. Like, I think Trooper Prawl, I think he got to the right answer generally, but I think they need more scientific, you know, someone more solid to say it. Because, like, in general, I think I agreed with Trooper Prawl's assessment. Like, that's, like, there are, like, unknowns. There's unknowns. We don't know exactly how it happened. I don't think that anyone's going to know, but, like, maybe someone else is going to have an opinion that's going to, you know, more exact, like, this is probably what happened. I think that's one point. The Sally port's not going to be an issue next time. Proctor, I mean, I don't think that that should have been allowed in the first place. So I mean, I don't know about that. I agree. I mean, I think the judge interrupting him totally screwed him up. I mean, I think his closing was good, though, in general. I don't know if it would have changed anything, though. Honestly, I think that there were certain things that I wish that we knew the breakout, too, of the votes. I think that would tell us a lot of what jurors are thinking. Because to me, you know, a lot of people online are all about that last expert proved that it didn't happen. But that last expert did not scientifically test. He just had an opinion. And that's all it is. It's not, I mean, we didn't have someone on the Commonwealth side that had a rebuttal to that. So maybe that's an issue. But, like, they tested a few things. They tested shooting the glass into the taillight. They tested a head hitting the taillight, which weren't, neither one of those things were what Trooper Paul had put forth as his, like, accident reconstruction. So it's kind of a little, you know, that's a little weird. There's a lot left to the imagination. But I don't know. I just think that it's so obvious that she did it. You're never going to have all the answers to any of these murders. I mean, Casey Anthony, we don't know even how the child died. Scott Peterson, we don't know how he killed Lacey Peterson. We don't even know what day she died. We don't know anything, but we just, you know, he was found guilty because the jury believed that he caused her death. That's it. That's all that you need. Beyond a reasonable doubt, there wasn't anyone else that had the opportunity to do it. He caused her death. I mean, Paul O'Keefe stopped moving permanently the second he stepped out of Karen Reed's car. I mean, what the hell other option is there? Like, are people morons? I don't understand. Like, what is the other option? He didn't go into the house. That was a lie. And it's just like all the things that they pushed forward for like a year that turned out to be complete bullshit. Scanlon, the goddamn Google search. Are they even going to bring that up again? Probably. But, like, Rick Green basically was like, I apologize for any distress I caused you. He, you know, Ian Whiffen reached out to him and was like, you know, that's not right. Like, you need to stop saying that. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like she's definitely going to be found guilty next time. And, it's just a matter of time. So I hope she has some good vacations this year and, does whatever she wants to do because, it's over. She's going to be wearing orange and she's going to be scissoring with someone come December. It's just so frustrating. I just feel bad. I just think that the O'Keefes, not just the O'Keefes, but Paul O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's friends, like, people want to close this chapter. I want to close this chapter, and I'm not even personally involved. It's distressing. It's obnoxious. Like, the misinformation is just overwhelming. And I just can't imagine the, like, heartache and the pain that people are going through because of this. Yeah, Karen Reed partying with her lawyer before the verdict. I mean, I think they knew because they had a sidebar the day before that the judge was like, oh, they're stuck. They're not. They're deadlocked or something. And so she's like, yay. But I mean, that's not a win. That is not a win because most people, when you have a deadlocked jury like that, the second trial, you're found guilty. I mean, I don't even know what the stats are on it, but, I'm just thinking Danny Masterson, the mistrial that Judge Cannoni had last year, it was a mistrial and then he was found guilty. I just think, for the most part, it tells the Commonwealth, this is where your weaknesses are, fix them up, and then they come back and they, put the person away, and that's what happens. I've heard many different things about the split of the jury. I've heard 2 to 10 or something, but I just don't know what I believe. That 2 of them were like, oh, I just don't believe anything that the cops say. I don't know, though. But I think thanks for the memberships. I don't know. I just feel like the truth is what's important in general. I just think what I've been seeing since and I think it started with the Idaho 4 case. I followed the Idaho 4 case and the misinformation that was coming out and people are being accused. And, a lot of people are accusing the boyfriend in that case. And, that right away, the FBI had investigated him, had cleared him. So it's like, well, why are we still why is everyone still harassing this kid? And that's what made me start talking about murder cases in general, because I don't follow murder cases normally. I mean, I pay attention somewhat, but it's just the misinformation and like the harassment and like the unfounded accusations. I just think it's disgusting. Yeah, the free Karen Reed morons, they are beyond. I don't know what their angle is. I don't know what the outcome will be. I don't know what they're after. Because Karen is she's going to be the framed person that like fought through it. Like when they're like talking with her and they're like, my client was framed, but she's so strong. Like I literally want to fucking throw up. Like it's just so disgusting. Like she so obviously did it. She's so obviously implicating innocent people. It's just the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. And Yannetti, I mean, he seems like he comes off, and that's why he's a good lawyer, because he comes off as like a decent human in general, just the way he talks and the way he presents himself. But he is supporting someone that is literally implicating innocent people. It's disgusting. Like his reputation is going to be tarnished for the rest of his career. Jackson is not from here, so it doesn't fucking matter. He can come here and cause all this havoc and then leave. And David Yannetti is from here. So David Yannetti's going to have to live with it. And he's going to be stuck with her. And he's going to lose the next case. And, whatever publicity he got from this, whatever, it's going to end up being a lose. So, is it a wash? Does it matter? Did he get more publicity? Do people think good things of him? Do his kids look up to him? Do his kids think he's a good person? I don't think they are. After this, I don't think his kids will ever think he's a good person. So good luck with that. I hope it was worth it. Gross. Gross. Alan Jackson, he doesn't have kids. I hope not anyway. What would they even, maybe he does. Ugh. Imagine what they look like. Probably little Chucky dolls running around. I don't think those kids are going to have morals. They don't even have a chance. So, his kids probably don't care, but I feel like David Yannetti probably does have decent kids. But good luck with that. Just tell your kids everyone deserves a defense, even if they murdered somebody. We're just going to implicate every single innocent person that we can possibly find. That's what we'll do. That's what makes me a good lawyer. That's what makes me a good person. Yep, the YouTubers, the news media. That's what it is. It's the algorithm favors it. AJ has 3 daughters. Oh my God. Well, if they're murderers, they'll be all set. I don't know. The algorithm favors, and I think the YouTubers work together. They don't care about the truth. They're all pushing the same scenario. And Alan Jackson reached out to all of them. I know for a fact several of them he reached out to personally. And, they're like, oh yeah, I can push this story. This is the kind of story that people like. They know what kind of stuff people like. They don't care if it's true or not. And the Karen Kmart Trailer Trash Committee all bringing their kids to cheer for a murderer. I know, right? As if... And the thing is, I am 1000% not a cop supporter in any way whatsoever. I'm an individual supporter. So it's I understand that everyone's an individual, and I don't know. It's bizarre. I'm for accountability, and no matter what is going on, I'm definitely not a blind cop supporter. Most of my content was challenging cops in a lot of situations, but in this situation, I really don't see them doing anything that was, they did not get caught doing anything that was out of line. It was a blizzard. They scooped up the blood in the freaking Solo cups. Ooh, big whoop. But at the same time, the blood was not found in her taillight, so they didn't plant it there. So it's all right. Because blood is easy to plant. Touch DNA is not easy to plant without planting your own DNA. So, blood DNA, they could have just thrown it on the car. Done. The blood's on the car. The DNA's in the car. But that's not what was there. It was touch DNA. Touch DNA you cannot plant because your own DNA is probably going to be with it. So it's so frustrating. I think there's going to be a fallout. I hope. I think the support is going to wane for Karen Reed. I think that people are going to be numb. People were all in. I don't think it's even believing. It's you committed to a side and you followed it through. And I think people are starting, it's over now. It's over. So people are going to start to fall back. And then the trial is going to happen. Who knows where? Hopefully it should have been a different venue anyway. It should never have been in Norfolk County. But it's going to be wherever it's going to be. Down the Cape or in Western Mass. And a different judge, hopefully. And, we'll see what we get. I do wish we knew about the jurors though, because I'm wondering if, because I heard through, well, Mark Bedrow, I don't know if he's a good source, but I heard that he was saying that the murder was off the table immediately. Nobody was even going for that, which that could mean that because the division was so stark that they were only focusing on they were trying to compromise on the lesser charges, the lesser included charges. I don't know if it's true what he said at all, or if it's just made up. But I just don't even understand what everyone's fighting about. Like, obviously she hit him. It's really just a matter of, did she do it on purpose? Did she leave him to die in the cold? Which I think she did. But I mean, are you just gonna like let her get away with that and just give her a lesser charge? I mean, that's probably. I mean, it's so pathetic. Like, think of how much money the state is having to pay for this. For something that's obviously done. Like, this frustrates me about like school shooters too. School shooters have to like get the process and everything, and it's like everyone knows who did it, all right? Like, I understand due process, but at the same time, it's like, do we really need to spend like $500,000 on these fucking maggots that are just going to spend the rest of their life in prison? I mean, come on. Oh, the turtle hanging. I saw that. I honestly believe that Turtle Boy makes stuff up. Like, my inkling is that he just is lying. I just don't think he tells the truth ever. Like, I don't think he has it in him to tell the truth. So I just, I think Teabag did it himself. Every time I say Teabag, I'm just gonna say Teabag. Teabag. I mean, Kate, I just don't think that Kate would even waste her time thinking about that. I mean, yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, I wish that we knew what the jurors voted on, because to me, if I was a juror, I'd be like, well, I mean, manslaughter is if you were drinking and driving and you killed someone by accident. That's to me what manslaughter is. But reversing into somebody at 24 miles an hour is not an accident in any stretch of the imagination. And I mean, if it was, then that's what her case should have been. Her case should have been, I had it in the wrong gear. I was so drunk I didn't know, and I floored it because I was pissed, and I hit him and I didn't realize it. That's what her defense should have been. But it wasn't. So, I mean, charge her for murder then, because she's an idiot. Did anyone watch the interview with former Attorney General of Massachusetts on Channel 5? She said good things, but the news ladies were so gross playing to the free Karen Reeds. Ugh. I just, the free Karen Reed thing, it's just so weird. It's Animal Farm, it's sheep, it's Lord of the Flies, it's a cult. It's not people thinking with their head at all. It's people liking the idea of a cover-up and, we're going to do something and we're going to change things or whatever the fuck they're thinking. But like, Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe. It's plain as day. Everyone in her life knows she did it. Even her family knows she did it. Like, not one person in her personal life thinks she's innocent. Even the people supporting her know she did it. They just want her to get away with it. Like, come on, people. There's no one standing up there saying, oh, she would never do something like that. There's not one person in her life that's standing up there saying she is such a kind, peaceful person. She would never rage out and fucking run someone over. There's not one person in her life that can stand up and say that. So like, get a grip, people. She did it. Like, that's not even an argument at this point. The argument is like, what what punishment should she get for that? That's it. And Rita Lombardi is a freak. She needs to get something. I can't say it, but she needs something. She needs something. Yeah, so I mean, I heard about the text message, David Yannetti saying she didn't hit him that hard. So the thing is, what I would like to happen is that they pursue those charges of witness intimidation right now. Like, why not just pursue those charges? They already seized her phone. They have it. They have Turtle Boy's side. You know, that message, I didn't hit him that hard, would not be admissible in Karen Reed's trial because that's attorney-client privilege, but it's admissible in Turtle Boy's trial. So if Turtle Boy is harassing people and knowing that it's not true, that's huge for his case. That's huge for witness intimidation. If he's knowingly implicating innocent people. Close encounters of the fourth kind. Ew. She scrubbed her phone, everything before they could get her phone. I don't think they have anything. Yeah, I don't know. Because I've heard many times that when you scrub your phone, it doesn't actually work. I don't know, but I figured Rita was simping for Karen Reed because she's gay. I mean, does Rita think that Karen Reed is gonna like go down in that mosh pit? I don't think so. Does she think that? Like, is she crazy? I want to see her dad's phone too. I mean, her dad is, and this is the main difference between Casey Anthony and Karen Reed. Is Casey Anthony's parents were supportive of her. They did not want her to go to prison, but they were telling the truth. They were not covering for her. It was very different than what's happening in the Karen Reed case. In the Karen Reed case, you know, they are completely covering for her. And it's disgusting. Like, you can see the sister-in-law looking at the goddamn taillight. And, you know, I think the next trial they should call her whole family. Let's call her father. Let's call her brother. Let's call the sister-in-law and be like, what does the taillight look like? Can you tell us? Like, tell me what it looked like. I want to know. Ask our father, what did you talk to Karen about in the morning? Can you tell us? He's not going to want to say shit. I mean, I think they should call them all. Let's get them. Let's implicate them all. I mean, it's totally not like Casey Anthony's case, because Casey Anthony's parents, they were goddamn. I mean, I feel so bad for. If you watch that show about them being, it's recent. It's very recent too. It's where they're responding to her documentary and that they take a lie detector test. They are like, their lives were like shattered by that, like completely shattered. And Casey Anthony does not give a shit at all. And they are devastated still to this day. And it's been like 15 years. Like, their entire lives are ruined because of that. And I think in this case, the Karen Reed case, so many people's lives have been ruined because of it. And Karen's life has gotten better. It's like the sickest shit I've ever seen. Like, Karen has ruined so many people's goddamn lives in this case, and her life is getting better. She thinks she's a celebrity now. Ugh. This country disgusts me. Yeah, Rita is just... I can't believe people... Like, it's such a cult. I can't. Her father sectioned her to stop her getting arrested and sneaked her home so they could cook up a plan before they came for her that afternoon. I think that's true, too. I think that's true. I mean, she might have been threatening to kill herself, but I wonder what she said in the car. Because, I mean, Carrie was in the car, but they probably didn't want to get the hearsay. They couldn't get the hearsay, so they didn't ask her what was said. I mean, I think everyone knows. Everyone in Karen Reed's life knows. And that's the thing that's like so frustrating about this. It's like, it's the most obvious thing. Nobody did anything to this goddamn girl. And she's acting like she's the victim when she is the one that has literally destroyed everyone's lives. And yes, Rita does look like a Muppet. Karen will get drinks thrown in her Botox face. I mean, I feel like Karen is, I don't know. Yes, I don't like how I've seen a lot of videos about Paul O'Keefe today, and I'm just like, what is wrong with these people? Like, this has nothing to do with anything. And I don't know. It's bizarre. These people like really are sick. Like, they're so invested and they just want Karen to be innocent. I don't know why. And they will do or say anything. It's like, I don't know. I can't make sense of it at all. I've never been like that towards somebody. I don't think ever. Like celebrities, like I'm trying to think. Celebrity wise, like Britney Spears, I like Britney Spears, but like when she was being crazy, I was like, yeah, I think she's crazy. But like I mean, I still like don't think she's a bad person, but like I think she was crazy. And if she did beat up her boyfriend and like stab him with a knife, I'd be like, and I did hear that her Britney Spears, her husband left her because she like beat him up when he was sleeping, and she had knives stashed all over the house. She had knives stashed all over the house, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is scary. It's scary. And then what's that girl? But I feel like Britney is like out there. Like I like her, but I think she's out there. Like she is what is that girl's name? The one that was from Clueless that died. What the hell is her name? The one that was from Clueless that died. And I don't know if this is true, but what is her name? Brittany Murphy. Yes. Brittany Murphy. So Brittany Murphy, allegedly, Britney Spears had a house and she sold it to Brittany Murphy, and she sold it to Brittany Murphy and said it's haunted. There's like ghosts in there and stuff. And then Brittany Murphy bought it and then died like a month later. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but I mean, I kind of feel like Britney Spears is connected to like some other realm because she's out there. So I'm like, that could be absolutely true. Like, I don't know. Like, if I had a house that I thought was haunted, I would get the fuck out too. I would not be sticking around. I'd be selling that shit too. I mean, maybe that's why the Albert sold their house for $500,000 under the asking. Maybe it was haunted. Like fucking crazy bitches are running people over on their lawn. Like I'd sell the freaking house too. Her evil parentheses eyebrows. Yes, she does have evil parentheses eyebrows. Read the room. Why am I not supposed to talk about Brittany Murphy? Karen does remind me of the Joker. Did her husband die first? I mean, I think that Karen should just be locked up. I mean, I think that she's out of control at this point. She's a narcissist and she's out of control. She doesn't, and I've heard that she's watched my videos and she gets very upset by them, which makes me feel special. Hopefully she deleted TikTok because of me, but I could just picture her, like some of the stuff that I post where I'm like, oh, she's definitely guilty. Look at this villain. She probably gets pissed because she's so used to having like the soft, oh, Karen's the innocent victim. But it's like, how can you do that? How can you be out there with David Unetti being like, I'm so strong. I like stood up to all these bullies that were like framing me. Like, that is so disgusting. I know. I must be behind because I was like, I knew the name Brittany Murphy. And then like, as soon as one came out, like 100 of them came out. So I'm like, oh yeah, Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy. Clueless Days. Whatever happened to Alicia Silverstone? She's like, just didn't make it in Hollywood, I guess. Yeah, Karen's not happy, I don't think. I actually thought that was funny when Proctor's wife was like, get off my fucking lawn. It was like, I support my husband, Karen Reed is a murderer. I thought that was funny. I mean, I think they're telling the truth. Like, they're not lying. I mean, Alicia Silverstone went into selling vegan food. I think she was like in some shark movie that was horrible. And I seen her on TikTok. I think she seems like a good person. Like, I think she seems like she's not Hollywood at all. Like, she's very like down to earth and normal, or that's what she seems to be. Which is cool. I know the not guilty verdict. Well, they were wrong, weren't they? Kind bars are Alicia Silverstone. Interesting. I heard that he just said, we're not done with you or something. Which, good, they're not done with her. She's not getting away with this shit. Like, it really is so sad because there's friends of John O'Keefe that follow me on TikTok. And like, when I look at their pages, every single video is them and John O'Keefe. Like, he was just someone that everyone loved. And like, it's sad. When Alicia had her baby, she was reporting feeding your baby like a bird, chewing out their food and spitting it into their mouth. No! That's so nasty. Baby bird. Baby bird. There was a show where they did that to each other on, what was it called? Floribama Shore. They like baby birded people from the second balcony. Like, one person had to stand below and the other one like put all nasty food in their mouth, chewed it up, and it was disgusting, but it was kind of funny. But that's a freak show if you're gonna do that to your kid. That's disgusting. It is not a cult. It is a gang. I think that Bev pulled the jurist. I wonder why it hasn't come out yet, though. It seems odd. I think that we in general should come up with the I don't know. So the Commonwealth has to assess their case, what was weak. And we hear from the cult. I'm just wondering what was the weak, like, to me, the weakest part was probably, I mean, I think the Proctor testimony was a weak part. The last experts, I think, was weak. I think Trooper Paul, while I agree with, I just don't think he was good at testifying. I think he needed to back up. What else, though? Like, there really wasn't that much. Everything from the side of the witnesses, I feel like all the witnesses were fine. Oh my God. They're so insane. They really think that. I mean, I think Trooper Paul, I mean, they could keep him, but they would just have him testify to certain pieces, and then someone else would come in and do the more exact stuff, maybe. I don't know. Jackson really hated him, though. Like, he was Jackson's, like, nemesis. Jackson was, like, looking at him, like, so angry. And it's like, it's frustrating because I feel like, I don't know, like, I would be on it. I would want that kind of drama. And, like, I just feel like a lot of them weren't up for it at all. I think Jen McCabe did awesome. I think she fought, still told the truth. I think, but I think, like, some people I was surprised by, like Higgins and Brian Albert, I was surprised by, because they probably have testified a ton of times, and they were very, like, I don't know what it was, but they were very, like, nervous or very, like, squirrely. I don't know what it was. I thought Jen McCabe, like, how they went after her, I think that she really did good. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but I think that that's how I would picture myself as if I was on the stand. I wouldn't let them get away with shit, and I'd be fighting with them every step of the way. So I just, I think Jen and Kerry, yeah, that's the thing. Like, when I think about, like, the Jen and Kerry era of this case, it's like, all right, Jen McCabe had a lot of things that they, like, fought her on, but she stood her ground with everything and was like, nope, that's exactly what I said. And she knew where he was. And anytime they pushed her, she kind of pushed back harder and said more damning things. And then they had Kerry come on. They didn't even cross-examine her, and she literally corroborated everything that Jen said. So it's like, okay, so that's what happened, right? So that's why I'm like, where? And then we didn't even hear, like, I didn't hear the niece or the nephew's testimony. But it's like that testimony too corroborated what Kerry and Jen said that morning. And it's like, so what the fuck are the jurors thinking? Are they thinking that, like, Karen it was just a coincidence that Karen was like, oh, we got hit by a plow? Karen was like, oh, my taillight's all jacked up? They just thought that was a coincidence? And like, Karen knew exactly where his body was under the snow? That was just a coincidence? That's what the jurors think? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't know where the disconnect was. Like, I could see if they're like, I mean, at the end, the defense ended with that expert that was like, oh, well, scientifically, like, it couldn't have happened or something. I mean, maybe that's where the doubt came in. I don't know, though, because, you know, the jury was still split. So if that last witness provided enough doubt, then all of the jurors should have been in doubt, and that didn't happen. So I don't know. We will see, though. Little leprechaun boy walking on the court, clicking his heels with 2 bags of daddy's money. Little leprechaun boy. Karen's dad looks so weak, is wearing on him. Well, I mean, yeah, you're lying to get your daughter out of prison. And he's probably like close to, you know, president age. So he's ready to kick the bucket soon. And the wife is just like a freaking Muppet that just sits there and with like some weird look on her face. Yeah, Jen and Matt both said that she was talking about her taillight before 5 a.m. And I feel like the niece might have said that too. Like, I didn't hear it, so I don't know. But I mean, she definitely was talking about it. Carrie also corroborated that she was talking about the broken taillight before they all got in the car together while she was driving behind them in the car. So, I mean, the taillight was broken enough for her to, like, think, like, oh, look at my tail. Like, she knew what she did. Like, my God, people. This is really not hard to figure out. Like, a freaking second grader could figure out this case. I just don't understand, like, what the disconnect is. Just because people want to believe in freaking cover-ups, this is not the cover-up. This is not the cover-up story that you want it to be. I mean, come on now. We can't. The O'Keefes need closure. I mean, they just need it to be over. "44 years old, calling dad at night." I mean, that's a drunk ratchet that just ran over a boyfriend that does that. I mean, that's not anybody else normal. Definitely not. Definitely not. Instead of Adam's family, the Karen family. Karen as Morticia, Yannetti as Lurch, Jackson as the little brother. Ew. I could see it. The defense theory is like a bad movie script. And I think that's why it's so popular. I mean, I think that's allegedly there's some network that's picking up the movie for goddamn, what's his name? Turtle Boy's side of how we covered the case. I mean, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, this is going to be a total attack on him, I think. Because when they did the, what is it called? The Tiger King show, they made people believe that they were just doing a documentary about tigers. They didn't let the girl know that they were implicating her. So, I mean, they could take Turtle Boy and then turn it on it. Like, the whole show could be against him about how much of a cult leader and a psycho he is. Like, you don't really know. So, I mean, good luck with that. I hope that's what they do, because if they try to portray him as like some friggin' hero, like, oh my God, whatever channel that is needs to be removed permanently. Oh, the one that was on Proctor's lawn. I thought that was rude too. Yes, Karen is a conspiracy. It's the conspiracy against Karen's, because Karen didn't do anything wrong. Karen's just an innocent little flower that would never drink and drive. Never. She would never do that. You think you saw her drink 7 vodkas in that bar? No, she was drinking water. She was just paying for vodka. Come on. I got serious. She would never do that. She's a professor at Bentley, and her father is the dean. She would never drink and drive over her boyfriend, ever. She is just, she might drop the F-bomb every other word and every single voicemail that she leaves, but she is nice. She might call people up and say, I think you're hot. You should sleep over tonight when she's in a committed relationship. But she's a nice girl. She's nice. She wouldn't do anything wrong. It's not alcohol. It's just she's, it's all a frame job. It's all a frame job. I don't know. I'm going to end this live, but we'll see what happens next with this BS. July 22nd is the next court date. And it would be funny if she starts driving for Uber. I bet Karen is the one that reached out to John O'Keefe on Facebook to reconnect. I mean, I could see that. I think they were connected. I think that, yeah, I don't know. Karen is a villain. And, some people just don't realize yet that they're being punked. But one day they will wake up, or maybe they won't, and they'll end up in the sewer with the rest of her people. But have a good night. And truth and justice should prevail.